Most people overestimate what they can do in a day, but wildly underestimate what they can achieve in a year. Imagine if, starting today, you committed to just a handful of simple daily habits. Habits so powerful, your future self wouldn't even recognize you 12 months from now. Sounds impossible? Stick around, because in this video I'm breaking down daily habits that can completely transform your life in just 1 year. By the way, if you enjoy deep, thought-provoking insights on stoicism, self-improvement, and navigating life with wisdom, you'll love my free newsletter. Every Sunday I share powerful lessons, controversial truths, and practical strategies to help you level up, all for free. You can sign up using the link below and start getting value-packed content delivered straight to your inbox every week. And if you're a brand looking to sponsor my content and reach a highly engaged audience, feel free to reach out via my email in the description. Let's create something impactful together. 1. Plan your day the night before. Why winging it is slowly killing your dreams. Let me tell you a dirty little secret about spontaneity that no one wants to admit. It's wildly overrated. I used to pride myself on being flexible. I'd say, "Oh, I'm a free spirit. I don't need a rigid schedule. I go with the flow." Sounds romantic, right? It wasn't. What it actually meant was, I was always late. I forgot things constantly. I woke up with no idea what to do, so I just reacted to whatever came at me. And at night, I'd lay in bed feeling like a failure because the important stuff never got done. Here's the controversial truth. Not having a plan isn't freedom, it's chaos. We love to romanticize the idea of waking up and following your bliss or listening to the universe. But when you wake up and let your phone, your emails, your mood, or other people's demands decide your day, you are not living your life, you are renting it out to distractions. And I know that because that was me. For years, one morning about 3 years ago, I woke up and decided I would have a productive day, but I didn't actually write down what that meant. So I made some coffee, scrolled Instagram for inspiration, watched some YouTube research, answered a few emails, and then suddenly it was 5 p.m. and I'd done nothing that mattered. That night, lying in bed, I thought, if I keep living like this, a year from now, I'll still be stuck in the same place, and no one is coming to save me. That realization hit me like a brick, and the next night, I tried something radical. I wrote down just 3 things I wanted to accomplish the next day. Not 300 things, not a color-coded 18-page planner, just 3. The next morning, I woke up knowing exactly what to do. No decision fatigue, no confusion. I got more done before lunch than I usually got done all week. That night, I slept like a baby, because for once, I was proud of myself. Here's the deep part. When you plan tomorrow today, you're sending yourself a powerful message. My time matters. My goals matter. I matter. It's a form of self-respect. It's saying, I trust myself enough to decide what matters now, so my future self doesn't have to panic tomorrow morning. Because let me tell you, waking up and deciding what to do at 7 a.m. while you're still groggy and cranky is like trying to plan a wedding drunk. You're going to make bad decisions and regret them later. When I started telling people I planned my day the night before, some of my creative friends scoffed. They said, "But what about spontaneity? What if something comes up? Doesn't that kill the magic?" Here's what I learned. A plan doesn't kill the magic. It makes space for it. When you already know your top priorities, You can say no to the noise guilt-free. You can choose when to deviate from the plan, instead of constantly reacting to nonsense. If something amazing pops up, cool, adjust, but at least you're adjusting from a position of control, not chaos. Honestly, most people don't plan because they're afraid. Afraid of seeing their day laid bare. Afraid of realizing how much time they waste. Afraid of committing to anything because then they're accountable if it doesn't happen. That was me. I avoided planning because deep down I knew if I actually wrote down what I should do and then didn't do it, I couldn't lie to myself anymore. But that kind of honesty is exactly what changes you. Let me give you the exact way I do it now. After years of trial and error, write down just 5 key things for tomorrow. If everything else goes wrong, but you finish those, it's still a win. Schedule the hardest task first, because your willpower is strongest in the morning, and procrastination is a liar. Block out time for rest and randomness. Even robots overheat. You're allowed to relax, just on purpose. Not accidentally for 8 hours. Keep it on paper, not 15 apps or some fancy digital dashboard. Pen and paper keeps it real. Here's the thing, planning isn't just about productivity, it's about integrity. It's about keeping promises to yourself. If you can't even stick to the promises you make to yourself, how can you expect the world to trust you, respect you, or invest in you? For me, learning to plan my days was the first real act of self-leadership. I stopped living reactively. I stopped blaming bad luck or too many distractions. And slowly, painfully, I became the kind of person I always envied: calm, clear-headed, and confident. If you ignore every other habit in the world, but you start planning your days the night before, you'll already be ahead of 90% of people. You don't need a fancy morning routine or a $300 planner. You don't need motivational quotes on your wall. You just need a pen, a scrap of paper, and the guts to face your time honestly. Trust me, your future self will look back and say, "Thank you for finally taking yourself seriously." So tonight, before you crawl into bed and scroll your soul away, take 5 minutes to write down tomorrow. You'll wake up with a purpose instead of a panic attack. And that tiny change, it could be the start of a completely different life. Stop winging it. You're not a bird, you're a builder, and builders need blueprints. 2. Sleep like your life depends on it, because it does. Let me start with something controversial. If you brag about hustling on 3 hours of sleep, you're not a hero. You're just a chronically exhausted, grumpy liability to yourself and everyone around you. Yeah, I said it. We live in this weird culture that glorifies sleep deprivation. There's this romantic idea that if you really care about your dreams, you'll stay up all night grinding while everyone else sleeps. "I'll sleep when I'm dead," they say. Buddy, keep that up, and you'll get your wish much sooner than you think. For years, I thought sleep was optional. In my early 20s, I wore sleep deprivation like a badge of honor. I stayed up until 3 a.m. working on projects, ate whatever junk kept me awake, slammed coffee like it was holy water, slept 4-5 hours a night, max. At first, I thought I was winning. I got so much done. But over time, the cracks started to show. I became irritable. My memory was trash. I was forgetting simple words in conversations. My face looked like I'd aged a decade in 6 months. The final straw. One morning I fell asleep at the wheel on the way to work. Luckily, I woke up just in time to swerve, but I still clipped another car's mirror. No injuries, just humiliation, fear, and a giant wake-up call. That was the moment I realized, sleep isn't just about being alert, it's about staying alive. Let's be honest, you probably already know sleep is important. So why do so many of us still sacrifice it? Because we're sold a lie. We're told sleep is for the lazy. Successful people grind through it. We idolize billionaires who claim to sleep 4 hours a night, not realizing they also have personal chefs, assistants, drivers, and nannies picking up the pieces of their wrecked bodies. Meanwhile, you and I don't have that luxury. We are our own assistants, chefs, drivers, and if we burn out, no one's coming to save us. But I get my best ideas at night. This one used to be my excuse too. But I'm a night owl. My creativity peaks at 2 a.m. Sure, that sounds cute until you realize your creative genius is really just the result of a fried nervous system and sleep-deprived hallucinations. Once I started going to bed earlier and waking up rested, I discovered something shocking. My ideas were actually better. My focus was sharper. My creativity lasted all day, instead of showing up in manic midnight bursts. So no, you're not some magical nocturnal unicorn. You're just overtired and mistaking chaos for brilliance. Here's the deep part nobody tells you. Sleep isn't just about feeling rested, it's about repair. Your brain literally takes out the trash while you sleep, flushing toxins that build up during the day. Your muscles recover and rebuild. Your hormones balance. Your emotional regulation resets, so you don't scream at your coworker for breathing too loudly. Skipping sleep isn't just stupid, it's self-sabotage. And here's the kicker, chronic sleep deprivation can literally shrink your brain and age you faster. I learned this the hard way. After years of bad sleep, my doctor showed me a stress hormone panel and said, "You've got the cortisol levels of someone twice your age. Keep this up, and you're heading for a heart attack before 40. Not exactly the productivity badge I was hoping for. Ah yes, the classic myth. People love to quote Thomas Edison, who supposedly hated sleep. But what they don't mention is that Edison also took multiple long naps every single day. Same with Da Vinci, same with Churchill. Even the ultra-rich and famous who claim to sleep less are usually lying, or they eventually crash and admit it. Jeff Bezos gets 8 hours. LeBron James sleeps 8-10 hours and naps. Ariana Huffington literally built a whole company around promoting sleep after collapsing from exhaustion. So why are you, a regular human being with no billion-dollar staff, trying to out-hustle biology? Fixing my sleep wasn't easy, but it was worth it. Here's what worked for me. Set a consistent bedtime, even on weekends. At first it felt boring, but my body started to trust the rhythm. No screens at least 30 minutes before bed. Blue light is the devil. I switched to reading real books or journaling. Made my bedroom feel like a cave. Cool, dark, quiet. Invested in blackout curtains and earplugs. Game changer. Stopped drinking caffeine after lunch. I didn't want to believe it mattered. It did. Trained myself to stop wearing exhaustion as a badge of honor. Here's what I've realized over the years. Every hour you steal from your sleep is an hour you steal from your future. It's not just about how much work you can squeeze into your waking hours. It's about how well you show up during those hours. Sleep isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's not the enemy of ambition, it's the fuel for it. You can grind all night if you want, but sooner or later, your body will collect its debt. Trust me, it's better to pay that debt in advance, willingly, than to have it come due as burnout, illness, or worse. If you want to build your dream life, your business, your health, whatever, then respect your body enough to let it recharge. You can't pour from an empty cup. The irony is, when I finally surrendered and prioritized sleep, my productivity skyrocketed, not because I worked more hours, but because I showed up sharper, calmer, and happier during the hours I did work. So go ahead, close the laptop, turn off the lights. Your future self will thank you. And if anyone mocks you for sleeping too much, just smile and say, I'll sleep when I'm dead, but not a second before I have to.
3. Spend more time with people who inspire you and stop babysitting energy vampires. Let me start with a truth that makes people squirm. Your life is basically the average of the people you hang around most. Your health, your mindset, your ambition, your income. It all tends to mirror your circle. Now here's the controversial part. If your closest friends are broke, bitter, lazy, and full of excuses, odds are you're on your way to being broke, bitter, lazy, and full of excuses too. Yeah, I said it. And before anyone cries, but loyalty. Let me tell you, loyalty to the wrong people is just another word for self-sabotage. For a long time, my social circle was comfortable. We knew each other since childhood. We shared memes, gossiped about people we didn't like, and laughed at tryhards. We spent our weekends drinking cheap liquor and talking about how someday we'd all make it big. But here's the thing, someday never came, because no one, including me, was actually doing anything. I vividly remember one night at a party. I mentioned I was thinking about starting a small business, and they laughed, literally laughed. One of them even said, You're not cut out for that. Don't embarrass yourself." That laugh stung so deep it stayed in my bones for months. But it was also the wake-up call I needed. I started paying attention to the conversations we were having. 90% of them were complaints, gossip, or trashing someone who dared to dream bigger. There was no inspiration in the room, just stagnation. And it hit me. If I stay here, I'll become just like them. And worse, I'll blame them instead of myself. We tell ourselves stories, but they've been there for me since forever. I don't want to seem arrogant. What if I outgrow them and end up alone? Listen, you're not better than anyone, but you do deserve better energy around you. If the people you hang out with don't clap when you win, or push you to keep growing, or inspire you just by being themselves, what are you doing? Babysitting them. You are not responsible for dragging everyone you know up the mountain with you. Some people are not ready to climb, and that's okay, but you don't have to pitch a tent at their base camp and wait forever. After that party, I made a quiet decision. I didn't announce anything. I just started spending less time with people who drained me, and more time seeking out people who inspired me. At first, it felt awkward. I didn't know anyone successful, so I started small. I joined a local entrepreneurs group, went to meetups, and actually talked to people, instead of standing in the corner like an awkward lamp. I reached out to one guy on LinkedIn, whose writing I admired, and asked if I could buy him a coffee. I started following creators, writers, and thinkers online who actually shared wisdom instead of gossip. Here's what happened. Their habits rubbed off on me. Their mindset started to feel normal. Suddenly, waking up early, reading books, building something didn't seem weird anymore. It seemed inevitable. One friend I made even called me out one day. "Stop playing small just to make other people comfortable. You've got more in you, and I expect you to show up like it."
No one in my old circle had ever said something like that to me. Not once. Some people hear this advice and say, "Oh, so you're just using people for their energy or status. That's shallow." No, I'm not talking about clout chasing. I'm talking about choosing to surround yourself with people who make you want to be better, instead of people who make you feel guilty for wanting more. It's not fake to want growth. What's fake is pretending you're happy at rock bottom just to make others feel comfortable. Here's the deep part. Human beings are wired to adapt to their environment. When you hang out with complainers, you become one. When you hang out with builders, you start building. When you see your friends crushing their goals, you stop making excuses for why you can't. It's like sitting in a room full of candles. Eventually, your own flame catches light. So how do you find people who inspire you? Here's what worked for me. Audit your current circle. Ask yourself, do they lift me up or drag me down? Do they celebrate my wins or roll their eyes? Go where the energy is. Join groups, clubs, or classes where people are learning, building, and growing. Even online communities can be powerful. Be the kind of person others want to be around. You can't just take, you've got to bring good energy too. Don't be afraid to be the dumbest in the room. That's where you learn the most. Accept that some relationships will fade. It doesn't mean you're better than them. It just means you're on a different path now. One of the biggest lies we tell ourselves is I can stay the same while still chasing my dreams. No, you can't. If you want to change your life, you have to change your environment. And that includes the people around you. It's not easy, it hurts sometimes. But nothing hurts more than looking back in 5 years and realizing you let fear of outgrowing people keep you stuck at their level. When I finally let go of the people who were content to sit in the mud and sort out those climbing mountains, my entire perspective changed. I started dreaming bigger, working harder, and believing I was capable of more, because the people around me made me believe it. At the end of the day, you have to ask yourself, do I want to make everyone else comfortable, or do I want to actually grow? You don't owe anyone your stagnation. You owe yourself the chance to become the person you're capable of being. And if that means spending less time with people who drain you, and more time with those who inspire you, then that's not selfish, that's survival. So find your candles, sit close to their flames, and watch yourself catch fire, because you deserve to be around people who don't just tolerate you, but ignite you.
4. Drink more water than you think you need, because you're not a cactus. Let's start with a brutal truth. Most people walking around right now aren't tired, cranky, or just not morning people. They're just dehydrated. Yeah, that's it. You're not cursed. You're not low energy because of the moon in retrograde. You're a shriveled raisin pretending to be a human being. And the controversial part? The world seems to glorify everything except this simple habit. People will buy $8 protein shakes, fancy supplements, turmeric ginger oat milk lattes with collagen foam, but then drink 2 cups of water all day, like they're trying to survive the Sahara on rations. It's madness. For years, I treated water like it was optional. In high school, I'd go all day on soda and iced coffee. In my early 20s, it was energy drinks and beer. At the gym, I thought one sip from the fountain between sets made me a fitness god. And sure, I survived, but I was always tired. I got frequent headaches. My skin looked dull. And this is embarrassing. I even fainted once on a hot day during what was supposed to be a romantic hike. Let me tell you,
Nothing kills the mood faster than collapsing on a rock because you thought 2 sips of Sprite would carry you up a mountain. That was my wake-up call. Here's what I've realized. We live in a society that sells us everything but the basics. Need energy? Buy caffeine. Want glowing skin? Buy $120 serum. Feeling foggy? Take supplements. Nobody ever says, hey, before you spend all your money, how about you drink a damn glass of water, because there's no profit in it. Water is too simple, too cheap, too boring to be marketed as a miracle, even though it is one. And we've gotten used to ignoring thirst signals because we're constantly distracted. We wait until we're parched and dizzy before finally chugging half a bottle at once and patting ourselves on the back like we've accomplished something heroic. But I'm not thirsty. This is my favorite excuse. People say, but I don't feel thirsty. Well, guess what? By the time you feel thirsty, you're already dehydrated. It's like saying, I don't feel like changing my oil right before your engine seizes up. The body is subtle at first. Fatigue, brain fog, dry lips. Then it starts screaming with headaches, joint pain, digestive issues, even kidney problems. You don't wait for the smoke alarm to go off before checking your stove, right? So don't wait until your body's screaming before giving it the simplest thing it's begging for. After my little hiking incident, I committed to drinking at least 2.5–3 liters of water a day. At first, it was annoying. I peed constantly. My co-workers teased me about carrying a big water bottle everywhere. I felt like a walking Brita filter, but after a week, everything started to change. My energy improved. No more mid-afternoon zombie mode. My skin cleared up and looked alive. My digestion improved, which no one likes to talk about, but trust me, it matters. Even my mood lifted, because apparently brains work better when they're not drying out like beef jerky. People started asking if I'd started a new diet or workout plan. Nope, just water. Oh yes, here's where the internet gets dramatic. People love to say, but too much water can kill you. Technically true. You can overhydrate, but unless you're chugging gallons in an hour, that's not your problem. Your problem is the opposite. Chronic underhydration over years wrecks your body in slow motion. If you're healthy and spreading your intake throughout the day, you're fine. If you're like me and forget, unless it's in your face, here's what worked. I bought a huge 1-liter bottle and filled it 2–3 times a day. I flavored my water with lemon or cucumber, so it wasn't boring. I made a rule. Drink a glass before every meal and after every bathroom break. I set reminders on my phone at first, until it became automatic. Now, it's just part of my rhythm, like brushing my teeth. Here's the thing, water seems boring because it's free and easy, but it's a perfect metaphor for how we neglect the basics in life. We chase after shiny, complicated solutions while ignoring the simple foundations that actually support us. We want energy, clarity, health, beauty, but we won't give ourselves what our bodies are literally made of. It's a humility check. No matter how advanced we think we are, how many gadgets and gurus and hacks we buy, we're still just humans who need water. And honoring that fact every day is an act of respect for yourself and for the body carrying you through this life. So here's my challenge to you. Stop treating water like an afterthought. You deserve to feel alive, not just alive enough. You deserve to have a body and brain that work with you, not against you, and all it takes to start is 1 sip. So don't wait for another embarrassing hike incident. Don't wait for your skin, mood, or kidneys to file a complaint. Grab a bottle, Drink like you mean it. And remember, you're not a cactus, you're a human. Start acting like it.
5. Learn one new thing daily, or get left behind like a dinosaur in skinny jeans. Let's be real for a second. Most people stop learning the day they leave school. They graduate, toss their cap in the air and say, "Phew, glad that's over. Time to just coast until retirement." And then they wonder why life starts feeling stale, why nothing changes, why they feel irrelevant by 35. Here's the controversial truth. If you're not learning something new every day, you're not standing still, you're falling behind, because the world is moving forward, faster than ever. And if you don't move with it, it will leave you choking on its dust, while you sit there clutching your high school glory days like a sad trophy. For a long time, I thought I was smart enough. I'd done okay in school, I had a degree, and besides, learning was for nerds. Instead, I spent my free time scrolling social media, watching the same sitcom reruns, and repeating the same conversations with the same people every day. But then, I started noticing something unsettling. I was surrounded by people who were growing, and I wasn't. At work, younger co-workers with less experience were outshining me because they actually knew new tools and trends. In conversations, I found myself nodding along while having no idea what anyone was talking about. Even my confidence started to erode, because deep down I knew I haven't added anything new to myself in years. The final straw. One day I overheard someone at a party say about me, "He's nice, but kinda stuck in his ways." Ouch. That phrase haunted me for weeks, because it was true. So I made a decision. Every day I'd learn something. Doesn't have to be huge, doesn't have to be useful right away, but something. People say things like, "But I'm too busy," or "I already know what I need to know." No, you're not busy, you're distracted, and no, you don't know enough, because none of us do. The moment you believe you've learned enough is the moment you start becoming obsolete. It's like saying, "Well, I showered once 3 years ago, so I'm good." No, you've got to keep doing it. We're not living in the same world we grew up in. Technology, culture, ideas, they're all evolving. If you don't evolve with them, you're like that one uncle still making fax machine jokes, while the rest of the family is using AI to plan vacations. At first, it was awkward. I felt like a toddler again. I didn't know where to start, but I made it simple. I listened to one interesting podcast every morning on my commute. I watched 10-15 minutes of a documentary while eating lunch instead of scrolling Instagram. I started reading 5-10 pages of a book before bed, even if it was just a chapter on psychology or history. I looked up words I didn't know, instead of skipping over them. And you know what? Things began to change. I had more to contribute in conversations. I started solving problems faster at work, because I'd picked up random insights from unrelated fields. I even became more interesting to myself, which, by the way, is underrated. I didn't become a genius overnight, but I stopped feeling stagnant, and that was everything. Some people hear this advice and think, "So what, you expect me to study every day, like some over-caffeinated grad student?" No, this isn't about cramming for exams. It's about treating your brain like a muscle. Use it or lose it. And here's the beautiful part. You don't even have to learn something useful. Sometimes the most unexpected lessons pay off later. Like the time I learned how to tie fancy knots from a YouTube video. People laughed at me until we were on a camping trip and someone's tent collapsed. Guess who became the hero that day?
You never know when a random little nugget of knowledge will make you stand out. Here's the deep part. Learning daily isn't just about staying competitive. It's about staying alive. When you stop learning, your world gets smaller. Your curiosity dies. You start seeing everything through the same tired lens. And eventually, even the things you once loved lose their sparkle. But when you keep learning, you keep growing. Your world expands. You become someone who sees possibilities instead of problems. You feel connected, not just to your own life, but to the larger story of the world. It reminds you, I'm still capable of becoming more than I was yesterday. And that, my friend, is what keeps you young, no matter how old you get. Here's how I made learning a habit without it feeling like homework. Set a micro goal, even just 10 minutes a day. Make your phone your ally. Fill your feeds with educators, thinkers, and creators instead of endless memes. Ask more questions in real life. Keep a curiosity list. Every time you hear something you don't understand, write it down and Google it later. Find something fun, a language, an instrument, a weird hobby. It doesn't have to be profound. It just has to be new. If you want to feel alive, interesting, and relevant, keep learning. Don't let your brain atrophy. Don't let yourself become one of those people who can't hold a conversation about anything that's happened since 2010. Be the person others look at and say, wow, they're always growing, always curious, always alive. Because the truth is, you can't control how smart you were born, but you can control how much you keep learning. And no, you don't have to climb Mount Everest of knowledge every day. Just take a step every single day. So tonight, instead of binging another forgettable show, pick up a book, watch a tutorial, look up something you've always wondered about. Because if you don't water your mind, don't be surprised when nothing grows.
All right. Here's the part where most people just say, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. But let me leave you with something a little deeper. You've just heard habits that could completely change your life in a year. And you know what? They will, if you actually do them. Because here's the thing. Nobody wants to admit. Your life isn't going to magically improve because you watched this video. This video is just words. Words don't change lives. Actions do. You don't have to do all habits today. You don't have to be perfect. But pick one. Just one. Start tonight. Start messy. Start small. Because if you keep waiting for the right time, you're going to wake up one day and realize that time ran out while you were scrolling motivational quotes. I know. Because that used to be me, full of good intentions but no follow-through. Until one day, I got tired of my own excuses and decided to actually live. So, which habit are you going to start with? Drop it in the comments. I want to hear it. And if you want more brutally honest, thought-provoking, and slightly inappropriate wisdom like this, hit that subscribe button, smash the like button, and share this with someone who needs a friendly kick in the pants. Oh, and if you want to go even deeper, don't forget to sign up for my free newsletter, link in the description. Every Sunday, I send you real lessons, controversial truths, and strategies that actually work. No fluff, no BS. And if you're a brand who wants to partner with me and reach people who actually think, shoot me an email. Let's build something impactful together. Until next time, stay curious, stay hydrated, and stop babysitting your excuses. You've got this.